Here's something nobody tells you about ancient humans. They had roughly 8 hours of darkness every single night. No Netflix, no phone, no electricity, and they were absolutely, completely wide awake for most of it. And for years, scientists just assumed they went to sleep when the sun went down like some kind of well behaved golden retriever. But the more researchers actually studied it, the weirder, and honestly, the more fascinating the answer got. Because the working theory for a long time was essentially cave, dark, sleep, done. Which is a perfectly reasonable guess until you realize these were the same people who somehow found time to paint 17-foot murals of stampeding bison on underground cave ceilings. That is not the hobby of a species that's just trying to get its 8 hours. That is the hobby of a species that is very busy after dark. And here's where it gets interesting. Because when you actually look at the evidence, the archaeology, the anthropology, the studies on modern hunter gatherer tribes who still live without artificial light, what emerges is a picture of ancient nighttime that looks almost nothing like sleep and almost everything like society. First, you have to understand what night actually meant 30,000 years ago. The moment that sun dropped, the world became a completely different place. Predators that couldn't hunt you effectively in daylight, the big cats, the hyenas, the things with teeth the size of your hand, those things owned the dark. Going even 20 feet from the fire wasn't a bad idea. It was potentially a last idea. So the group didn't scatter, they couldn't. They stayed close, tight, and they stayed awake. Because someone had to watch the fire, and because the alternative was becoming a very efficient protein source for something with better night vision than you. But here's the part that stops people cold. Researchers studying the Hadza people in Tanzania, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, found something completely unexpected. Their sleep wasn't one long block. It was segmented. They'd sleep for a few hours, wake up naturally around midnight, stay awake for an hour or two in the dark together, then sleep again toward dawn. And during that middle of the night window, they talked. They told stories. They processed the events of the day out loud, as a group in the dark around the fire. Scientists believe this is where something enormous was born. The first version of what we'd eventually call culture. Not invented in daylight, not carved in stone during office hours, built in the dark, by firelight, through the human voice. And once you understand that, everything else clicks into place. Because language doesn't develop when you're alone. It develops when you need to coordinate, to explain, to warn, to persuade. Those nighttime circles weren't just cozy, they were the original social network. The person who could tell the best story about where the hunt went wrong, or what that strange sound in the trees actually was, that person became essential. That person held the group together. Storytelling wasn't entertainment yet. It was infrastructure. And here's the layer underneath that. Those stories carried information. Migration routes. Which plants killed you? Which ones healed you? Where the water was in dry season. Every night around the fire was a knowledge transfer session disguised as a conversation. Humans didn't have books yet. They had each other, and they had darkness, and they made the most of both. Which means the next time someone makes you feel bad for staying up too late talking, or going down a rabbit hole of fascinating, possibly useless information, you can tell them with complete scientific accuracy that you are simply honoring 40,000 years of human tradition. You are the fire, you are the circle. You are technically continuing one of the oldest and most important behaviors in the entire history of the species. You're welcome. But here's the question that nobody really talks about. And honestly, it kept me up at night, which felt appropriate. If ancient humans were awake for part of the night and spent that time talking and transferring knowledge, what exactly were they afraid to say in the daylight? That answer is darker than you think. Literally. Next video.